Thanks for staying with us. We still have the Honorable Minister of Power, Mr. Adelabu, here in the midst of women, Council of Women, still answering to Nigerian women. Amaka, go ahead, please.
Okay, so, Honorable Minister, in fairness to you, on one part too, I understand that energy sense is common sense, right? Yes. And I was brought up to turn off a room or power source. When I leave a room, I should turn that off if it's not in use, but not refrigerator. And now you've explained to us that it was a joke, like, not intended the way, you know. So, and then I'm also happy you mentioned the Electricity Act. So let me come down to that. For example, Section 116 of the Act provides that, as was there in the first place to prevent abuse of market power. Do you think your office has adhered strictly to the provisions of Section 116 of the Act in terms of notifications? Yes.
Thank you very much. We did this, and I can confirm to you authoritatively. Let me tell you, the EA Act, that's the Electricity Act of 2023, signed in June 2023 by our principal, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is quite comprehensive and elaborate, and it has corrected all the errors of the past or previous legislations. Number one, it allows the National Electricity Regulatory Commission to undertake tariff review, minor review every 6 months, because tariff building block is made up of a lot of variable parameters. A lot of them are FX based, a lot of them are inflation based. So as prices of equipment, appliances, and running the power operators are going up, supposed to reflect in the tariff. Over 6 months may be minor review because of the shortness of the period. But after every 2 years, they are allowed to make major review to the tariff. The last review was done in 2022. Since 2022, we have seen escalation in price of goods and services, exchange rates, the transformers, the power cables, the power lines, and all that. Even the transmission towers. We are saying, okay, we have to do this review. And we have been contemplating this months back. What the section required us to do was to make wide consultation and notification to the people that will bear this tariff. I can tell you, NAC, they started these consultations long ago. You can confirm from the discourse, even from the electricity consumers at various locations. They did regional consultations, workshops, and seminars to sensitize people about the effect of liquidity squeeze in the sector and why tariff must be reviewed. They did that. Now, when I resumed, if you have been following my programs, I've always been hammering on the fact that the major issue, which other past administrations have shied away from discussing in this industry, there are two. Liquidity squeeze, lack of liquidity, necessary for continuity and sustainability, then infrastructural deficit, which you must fix. And I said the only way out of this is for us to review the tariff. I've been saying it. And I consulted almost all the stakeholders in the sector, the GENCOs, the transmission company, the DISCOs, some customers, some consumers. And this culminated into a retreat that we had in December 14 to 16 at Transcorp Hilton, where we called ourselves to a 3-day retreat to discuss all this. And the major issue discussed was about the tariff review. So we did the wide consultation required. So we will not do anything that is outside of the law, that is illegal. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu will not even allow us to do that. Right. So I can say that we complied with the section that you raised.
Let me ask us, go back a bit to the issue of subsidy, because I looked at a report that by human rights lawyer, Mr. Femi Falana, said back in 2022 that the Buhari administration has stopped paying subsidy in power. Yes. And this is part of the thing that leads to people's lack of belief in the system. 1 second, you've stopped paying subsidy. The next second, you're saying that we are owing GENCOs and transfer. You're wondering what is going on. There's a lack of transparency. So help us clarify, because you're saying that there's money still being owed. He's saying that government stopped paying subsidy back in 2022.
Two things which I will clarify. Payment of subsidy is different from removal of subsidy. Sincerely, government has not been paying subsidy. I'm confirming that to you. If they had been paying subsidy, we will not have the historical debt that we have in the industry. It does not mean that they removed subsidy. If the last review of tariff, let's even say that, okay, as of 2022, it was close to cost reflective tariff, when it was 69 for band A, about 54 for band B, down to 40 something for band E. let's say it was close to. But between that 2022 and 2024, like I said earlier, we have seen movements in prices. We have seen exchange rate escalations. You understand? So which means, and we have not reviewed the tariff, which means that the cost of producing or generating and transmitting and distributing power has ballooned. The customers have not been made to pay. So the subsidy was there, but it was not being paid, which is why I said governments find it difficult to fund or to pay subsidy. In 2022, subsidy was 260 million. You understand? In 2023, subsidy was 720 billion, 260 billion. 2022, 2023, it was 720 billion, out of which only 400 was funded. There was a 320 billion that was brought forward because things were increasing then. In 2023, if we must retain the tariff at the current level, government requires 2.9 trillion as subsidy. We are saying this is too much. Let us see how we can actually bring it down. And I mean, my gratitude to the president, he stood his ground. He said, Bayo, we cannot remove subsidy 100%. I was voted in to remove the sufferings of Nigeria, to alleviate their predicaments. I should not be adding to this. We've done enough in the two of harmonizing exchange rates and the other one of removing subsidy from fuel. So whatever we can do to meet them middle ground, for those that can afford it, you understand? Let us do it. I said, I'm not approving.
Because
you see our pockets.
A is feeling like
you see our pockets, and you know we can afford it.
We are not punishing.
Try to punish you.
Check from that account and say
at the end of the day, at the end of the day, they are better off. If, let me tell you, what
because they are getting the power supply.
they are getting it. If they are getting it,
because
they are better off.
We
You understand?
do have a bigger problem. You know, we've discussed the challenge because obviously we've discussed the challenge of the subsidy. Now Nigerians know that government has been subsidizing power for them for many years, and it wasn't paid under the last administration, which is why there is a pile up. We get that. We also understand the fact that what we are paying now, what you are asking Band A to pay, is it cost reflective?
It is.
It is cost reflective.
So we're not subsidizing Band A for now. And again, the building blocks contain a lot of variable parameters. The exchange rate is there. Now that we have seen downward trending,
would that affect
it? Will affect it. It will affect it.
Now, for generating,
yes,
the entire generation of Nigeria, pata bring together, is not enough to solve the problem of Lagos State's need.
We know.
And it seemed like we are not even talking enough about the need to increase generation. Can you please?
Even what's being generated, we're not even consuming it.
No, because there's even stories that we cannot transmit.
No,
they say we don't have capacity for transmission, sir. We've read it in the papers that our transmission is many years old and the equipments are old. And I would blame Nigerians for when Nigerians is just as I would blame government for it, because they say even when the government puts in new equipment, Nigerians will go there and go and steal the new equipment. So you don't need to go. We've yabbed ourselves, we've yabbed our people, we have called ourselves out. But we are calling out the government on generation and transmission. How are you holding Gencos accountable to increase their capacity? And how are we ensuring that transmission is able to carry what we say they should transmit? So
thank you so much. Like I told you, I'm an accountant. So when it comes to businesses, I know a lot of things that are supposed to be in place for that business to be able to run seamlessly. You understand? The generation that we have today, we have majorly two forms. The hydropower electric generation, where we have Kanji, we have Jeba, we have Shiroro, we have Gurara, Kashimbila, Dadinkowa, and the other one that we are just about, that's Zungeru. We just completed. It's supplying about 25% of our total power installed. The gas-powered plants that they call thermal plants, the Egbins of this world, Olonshogo, Omotosho, Iwobo, Afam, Ugeli, Giregu, and others, is about 75% of our generation.
Okay.
You understand? Hydro requires water, which is
it's cheaper,
which is available. You understand? Even during the dry season, the water level goes down, the pressure comes down, but that's for a short period. The thermal plant, they require gas. as feedstock, more like the raw materials for them to produce, this gas is also not cheap. You understand? Which is why when government has not been paying them, it's been difficult for them to pay the gas suppliers. And the gas pipeline infrastructure too is also defective. You see pipeline vandalization, the pressure not being enough, no compressor, no booster here and there. The installed capacity totally in Nigeria today for the national grid, because we have other embedded plants that are within a state or within and some captive within a particular company. For the national grid, total installed capacity today, hydro plus gas, is over 13,000 megawatts. But the highest we have ever generated was 5,800 megawatts, specifically in March 2021. And the national grid was able to wheel 5,800 to our people. Yes. Okay. But the issue is demand. In as much as our power requirement is huge, we generate a lot of power in Nigeria, over 50,000 megawatts. A lot of them are generated in houses and companies using generator, fuel, and diesel. But the national grid, when the discos get this power and they supply it to all the feeders, there are some feeders that distribute to households, they'll be able to collect their money. But a lot of the feeders, you understand, to the lower band customers, when they distribute, they won't be able to collect the money. And there's also a lot of power theft. So DISCO started rejecting power.
Yeah, we read that.
To those feeders, you understand? So the demand became so low. So that even generating companies cannot even produce based on their capacity because of lack of stimulation of demand. That's what we are trying to do now. To stimulate demand first, then ramp up generation. That's number one. Number two is inadequacy of gas supply. Not only in quantity, but also in quality. Because of the vandalized pipelines, the lack of compressors, lack of boosters. Before power gets from the Niger Delta, before it gets to Omotosho power plant in Ore, the quality is poor and the pressure is low. Before talking about getting to Olonshogo power plant in Papalanto, in fact, no quality. Which is why you see a lot of these generating plants. They will have 6 turbines. For example, Olonshogo. I've visited all these locations because if I start telling you what we have done, since I got to the office, we will not leave this place today. But to Nigerians, sorry, just 1 minute. To Nigerians, once they cannot stand up and switch on the light and the light comes on, you have not done anything. Which is why distribution is very important to us. Whatever we're doing in generation or in transmission, if it's not translating into distribution, we have not done. So we are doing so much. And these are the underground issues that we need to resolve. So those are the issues with the generating companies. And the target that we have today is, once we have seen the demand coming back up, I promise Nigerians that within the next 6 months, we are going to ramp up our generation to minimum of 6,000 to start with. Okay. And every 6 months, we'll be ramping it up. Okay, sir. And our transmission grid has the capacity. If it could wheel 5,800 as far back as March 2021, 3 years ago, with all the investment in enhancement and upgrade of infrastructure in transmission, it will wheel over 6,000. And TCN management is telling me that they are sure of 8,100 capacity for this. And there are also projects we are doing to make sure that we upgrade the capacity of the transmission infrastructure.
Okay, me, I am bothered because I know I'm going to be on the band A.
You are, obviously.
So the band A, so how are you ensuring that most of the meters are not going to be bypassed?
Yes.
To make sure that I get what I pay for. The reason why I'm asking this question is because, okay, for example, some people who stay in rented apartments in those band A, wherever, these meters that you're giving, is it our personal meters? Is it for us? So that such that when we are moving to another house, are we going to move with our meter? Because if I move to another house and maybe that person bypassed his meter, so I'll go there now and
so let me attach my question to her question.
Yes.
Because my question is similar to hers in the sense that, so there are people who are having power theft. There are people who are bypassing, who are stealing power.
Yes.
Now those guys, I mean, it seems like when you make band A pay for this 225, you're making us pay for the inefficiencies of discos to catch or to regulate those people who are involved in power theft. You are stealing power. They're not paying. Though there's no money. So the reason why you're not getting money is because you're not making sure.
The ones that we can collect
so
from.
Those people who are always paying, people like Ramat and Tokwe who are always paying, you're now saying collect more money from there because they're the ones that
are for the ones that
make up for those who are. So is that fair on us?
Exactly.
Let me
how are you ensuring
these were being used as?
I can answer everything at once. So how do you now? So what's the disciplinary action against the discos now for not doing their job? Because if they don't do their job, it falls back on the consumers. Right.
To add a part C to that question, sorry, because I heard you yesterday saying that even the discos were not technically ready or financially ready for this job. They didn't have the capacity to even do the job that they are doing. So what are you also doing to ensure to make them do the right thing so that we don't have to suffer for it?
Yes. Thank you very much. There are so many questions wrapped up in one. But I can assure you I will take it one after the other without wasting time. Number one, let me say that the tariff fixing is based on identified as stated parameters.
Okay.
You cannot pay for the power theft being committed by another customer. It's not possible. There is transparency there's transparency in the computation of tariff. And the parameters are well stated. The capital investment of the generating companies, their operations and maintenance, the adjustment for exchange rate, gas cost, inflation rate, and a lot of things. It is stated. And you cannot slot in anything.
Okay.
That is neck for you. So number one. Number two, which is why I said the problem in the power sector is so much and huge and it has accumulated over time. And I'm happy that you're also on top of what these issues are, which make my job easy. The power theft or bypassing of meter is prevalent in our society. Even there are some affluent individuals, when they are starting their construction, it's right from the foundation that they ask the contractors
to remove some things
are not connected to the meter. And they were also part of people that will be complaining that they are not having stable power. You can see that we are actually the ones that we are the architect of our own misfortunes. And we'll correct it. That's what we call now, which is why you will not see the discourse asking to go and buy your meter if you don't have meter. Because there must be standardization and compliance to some certain technical standards. But above all, there's what we call meter data management system, MDMS. So when we are implementing this, our mass meter acquisition program, every disco must have an MDMS so that remotely from their office, they can monitor activities on your meter. When you bypass, it will alert them. If they want to switch you down, they can switch you off from their office.
Is that the reason they are asking everybody to get the new meters, right?
Yeah, the smart meters. The smart meters can do all this. When we are able to do all this, bypassing will not be possible. Tampering with meter will not be possible. Because there's what we call NEMSA, the Nigeria Electricity Management Service Agency, which are the chief inspector, technical inspector of the industry. They must certify every meter now and ensure that every meter comply with the technical standards as specified. So I'm saying that all those problems of the past, we have put them in like a pool
if you have
or a bucket, and we are picking them one after the other to be resolving. And you trust me, problem of 50 years, over 50 years, will not be resolved in 1 year.
But
we must be making progress. I'm the 47th power minister in Nigeria today.
We interviewed the 46th.
The 46th. Or they were brilliant people, patriotic, smart people, ready to write their names in gold, ready to make a difference. But there's a way the sector has disenabled them to perform the way they wanted to perform. But the president said, what happened to your predecessors will not happen to you. Just have the boldness, the courage to do the right thing. So far, you are fair on Nigerians. And that's what we are doing. And we are ready to make a difference. And I will make the difference. But we should trust the judgment of Mr. President. Okay. He put me there because he believes I can handle it. And I'm assuring you that I've never failed. My past responsibilities in the past. I will not fail.
Let me let Amaka jump in.
I will make a difference. I'm promising Nigerians.
You talked about the certification of the of the meters and that is the board. I hope it's not like the Nigerian thing where people are supposed to do a job and then they just they take their time. What is the time frame in which, if you submit, you buy a meter, you submit, you pay for a meter? What's the time frame from when you do that to when you the timeline?
So that it's not frustrating.
So it's not frustrating because
I understand
you already know Nigeria.
I understand you.
Yeah.
You know, this is new Nigeria, and we are all working at it. It's my job, it's your job, it's everybody's responsibility. Exactly. When you see something, say something. You cannot guarantee people 100% that they will comply with the new sheriff in town. They are there to also sabotage what you are doing. I told you, there are cabals, there are cartels, and there are orcs in this sector too, that will not make this sector work. You understand? Because of their own selfish interest. But we are saying, no, it won't be possible. When you see such, please do not hesitate to escalate, and we will attend to it. We are putting the structures, the systems, and the institutions in place to ensure a long-term sustainability of this sector. So it won't be a flash in the pan. We are addressing the root cause of all these issues, not just addressing the symptoms. That is why it will not, you won't say it immediately. But let me tell you, before 1-2 years, you will start singing
People are asking
our
them
praise.
To fire you because they said, this guy, he's an accountant. Why did you make him a power minister? What does he know? They're saying hashtag, the power minister must go. I have somebody here saying, all this English he's speaking. I have a comment here. She's from Moni. She says, we don't understand all this grammar. The ministry cannot boast of anything it has achieved so far since his administration started. How long does it take to implement all this English? So to the average Nigerian, there's a lot going on.
But I have comments on the
That's the patience.
Yes. Okay. I have several comments on the contrary. Adnam says, I'm convinced Tokwe is doing a good job. People should pay for their bills and stop stealing power. Somebody, as in, I have several YouTube comments are convinced based on what you're saying that you're convinced. But I have a question, so we have both sides.
It's not a popularity contest.
we just want power.
Sincerely.
Exactly.
So do the job. It does not matter what people say.
Yes.
The end will justify the means, I can tell you. These are temporary